Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about a new SUV from Volvo that's fully electric, and it's going to have some pretty crazy self-driving equipment that comes with it as well. And so with all that being said, let's just pop right into the video. Now let's talk about this new electric SUV from Volvo. So first off, this is going to be the flagship EV SUV from Volvo. So it's going to be larger in size, probably similar in size to the XC90. So they haven't really released anything in terms of whether or not it's going to be a 5-seater or a 7-seater, right? A third row SUV, or it's just going to be a 2-row SUV, but I assume it's going to be a third row SUV if it's about the same size as the XC90. But beyond that, we don't have a lot in terms of information on the SUV itself. We just know it's going to be fully electric, and it's going to come with a lot of autonomous driving tech. And let's kind of get into all of that. So from an autonomous driving tech perspective, this vehicle is basically going to have a system similar to Tesla, where it'll just fully drive itself. And the way that Volvo is advertising this is that you'll be able to just turn it on, and then when you're on the highway, it'll just do all the driving, and you can talk, read, text, watch movies, whatever you want to do, and it'll do all the driving for you. And so that's kind of what they're going for. They've done some testing with this vehicle in Sweden, and they're going to do some more testing here in the US, mainly in California, because California is a little bit more lenient with self-driving vehicles compared to other states. So expect this to be initially released for just the California market, and then it'll get released for the rest of the US market. After that, obviously, like I said, there's quite a bit they have to jump through loophole-wise with legislation and everything. But the main focus, again, is new electric SUV, and it's going to have all the self-driving stuff. And on top of that, it's going to be released in the US pretty soon. But the next thing to jump over to is the fact that the self-driving stuff is only going to be available on certain interstates and highways. And so it's not going to be available around town. So that will kind of limit the use a little bit, because it's not something you're going to be able to just, hop in your car and it'll drive you to wherever. It's like you have to drive it to certain places, but once you're on the interstate, if you're going from one place to another on the interstate, then it'll help out quite a bit. And it seems like it's supposed to be kind of targeted at people in California, because it's supposed to be this vehicle that will be able to navigate rush hour traffic. And that's what they're kind of basically building this around, is so that you can buy this vehicle and then it'll drive itself in rush hour traffic. And so then you can do whatever you want during that traffic time, where you can, again, you could read, you could study, you could be having business meetings, whatever, in the vehicle. That's kind of the way that Volvo is pushing this out. Now, the interesting thing about this fully electric vehicle and the self-driving is going to be a subscription. Volvo hasn't released how much the subscription is going to cost, but you're basically going to pay a monthly subscription to have the self-driving. It's not just going to come with the vehicle. And I'm not exactly sure about this. So Tesla obviously has their autonomous driving, where it's an option, right? It's a pretty expensive option. It's several $1,000s, but it gives you self-driving, and that's it. You just pay for the option on your car and you get it. Whereas with this, it sounds like every single version of this new SUV is going to have the self-driving, but then you can pay a subscription to actually be able to activate the self-driving. And so that will be the biggest difference, right? And so depending on how much it costs will determine if it's worth it or not. If it's like, hey, this vehicle is going to be so much more expensive than the competition, and on top of that, you got to pay this fee to get self-driving, then it's not really going to make sense. But if it's like, oh, it's going to be less expensive and all the vehicles are equipped with it, and it's like you pay $5 or $10 a month to get this self-driving, I think that, yeah, it'd be worth it. But again, it'll just come up, it'll basically be determined by how much it ends up costing. Now, I guess I'll get into my thoughts on this, and we'll kind of just cap things off, so this shouldn't be a super long video. First off, Volvo releasing another full electric SUV, I think that's definitely a great route to go. Obviously, most of our cars are hybrids right now, and then we do have the XC40 Recharge, which is fully electric. But I think it's just good for them to release more electric SUVs. It's just what Volvo is going towards as a manufacturer, and so they're just kind of owning it, and I think that that's great. And it'll be something that'll be a little bit more practical for more people, because it'll be larger in size, have more cargo space, all that kind of stuff. With the self-driving, it's kind of all over the place, right? So I think it's great that they are working on making a car that can drive itself, but I think that it needs to be able to be used in more circumstances, not just the interstate, right? So I think that it should be something that, if they're really going to market this as a subscription service, it needs to be something that you can hop in your car, right, when you're at home, and then it'll drive you wherever. And that's it. I think that's the route they should go, especially if they want people to pay monthly for this. It needs to be something that's like truly fully autonomous, not you have to drive it. You know, from, I mean, the most of the travel time when it's depending on where you live, right? Los Angeles and all that stuff is different, but like here in Utah, for example, most of the driving time is to and from the interstate. Once you're actually on the interstate, the travel time is not that long, even if you're going pretty far distances. And so if I were to buy this car, for example, I wouldn't be able to use the self-driving all that often, and so it almost kind of like kill the whole reason for getting it. So I think they need to make it so it's able to be used in more circumstances. And like I said, that pricing needs to be in line. They need to make sure that it is just priced appropriately with the subscription fee and everything. And also, if they're making it so you have to pay for the self-driving and then also a subscription on top of that, I think that also would be kind of haywire. So it better be where the vehicle costs less and then they're making the money off the subscription, right? I'm okay that obviously they're making money, but like they need to make it so that it's not double dipping, right? Because Tesla doesn't, again, Tesla makes it so you pay for an option of several $1,000s and then that's it. So if they try to make you pay for an option several $1,000s and a subscription, I think that's just going to be a little bit wonky. But that's going to sum things up for this new Volvo. I want you guys to let me know what you think on it, and I'll see you.